And now for our weekly news segment.
Now it's official.
All right, there we go.
All right, what do we got, Tux?
So we've got a decent amount. We get a decent amount of links. I literally had these all open, and my browser is being weird, so I had to close it.
All right, just go one by one. We'll see what we get. What's the first one?
First one from Drunk Dial Me. Can anyone help me set up a donation page so I can continue this Monero merchant onboarding effort that I started? I started doing this for some proof of concept pictures, but it's proven extremely effective, and it's working for jumpstarting community parallel economies. So we've got a guy here paying for Monero with a QR code for his gym. And if I remember correctly, Drunk Dial Me, guess who's back? He started an effort where he's giving people a little bit of Monero as like an incentive for them to go out and onboard merchants to use Monero. And he will gift people a certain amount of Monero. If it was, I don't remember if it was him or if it was somebody else. I think it was him.
As long as then they have to go spend it at like a merchant and like film it, make a video of it.
Basically, yeah.
I love it.
I don't know if it was him because he made this tweet.
And then the guy who's spending it, Christian, he's one of the guy. He's from that town in Argentina where they're doing the gambling with Monero, and they got the soccer field going. And I think he is the one who has the butcher shop that accepts Monero.
Oh, is it him? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. All right, so very cool. Drunk Dial Me, you're always welcome to, as you know, to jump up on the show. I know you like to go in the spaces. We haven't really been doing that much. Try to jump on the StreamYard one of these days so we could hear more about this effort. Looks like it's working out though.
And we've got Graphene OS. So Graphene OS, I'm going to open this on Knitter because this thing, there we go. So Graphene OS recently, their donation PayPal was permanently locked out. Their account got like suspended for like no reason at all, because that's just a PayPal thing, right? PayPal just loves to do that. PayPal loves to screw with people. And people are, talking about like the other methods. And of course they accept XMR. They've accepted Monero for quite a while now, but they came out. Bright was asking what the ratio of XMR to Zcash would be. And they reply basically here that the historical is around mainly Bitcoin with Ethereum and Monero being equal, and then like no Zcash. But recently they've had like exclusively most of their donations come from Monero. So the Graphene OS project primarily gets more of their donations from Monero than Bitcoin and Ethereum. So out of all the coins you can use, it's mostly Monero, which makes sense, which is cool, but it makes sense for something like this, where people would want to use Monero to donate to them. But if you want to donate to the Graphene OS project, you don't have to use PayPal, you don't have to use a card or any of that. You can just use nice, easy Monero.
And so, but they were accepting PayPal, and then they got locked out?
Yeah, they had a nonprofit PayPal account, and they'd went through all the work setting it up and everything, getting it all legit. And for just, seemingly no reason, their account just got locked out. But yeah, no, PayPal's like the worst. It's been like that for a long time.
Beautiful to see that people are making Monero donations. So you're saying that's become the primary way for people to donate right now to Graphene.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger ways people are donating.
Awesome.
With Monero. That's
what we want to see, guys. I mean, that's like the prime use case for Monero, right? To use it to in a censorship resistant way, donate to some cause you believe in, right? Especially a cause that further aligns with the privacy tech. Go ahead, Buddy. What were you saying?
Well, I think we've seen this before with Tails as well. Like Tails received most of their donations from Monero as well. It's just like every time we have some kind of like really key piece of privacy infrastructure, Monero people step up. Like we're outnumbered by the Bitcoiners. Who knows, right? Maybe 100 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
But Monero people are apparently funding.
Yeah, it's always Monero people that actually like.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like recently with Tor, right? Wasn't donations, but we, Tor, I guess, right, developed a solution using RandomX, right, to solve their issues with the DDoS, right? I feel like another example. Monero community stepping up, working together with other privacy tech communities. Nice to see. Meanwhile, you have the Human Rights Foundation, which I think to this day still doesn't accept Monero for their donations. But that's another story.
Yeah, which is just kind of crazy.
we could keep things positive. All right, what do we got next?
So next we've got Worldcoin. We've got this long thing about Worldcoin, and I don't know that much about Worldcoin. I've just kind of seen it. Do you know more about it? Can you speak on that, Doug?
I mean, I don't know details. I think I know just as much about as everybody else that's on Twitter. Worldcoin came out a while ago, right? It was proposed a while ago, and I know they started trying to onboard people with these orbs that basically scan your iris, your eye, right? And then it creates, I think, a unique ID based on that scan. Basically, a unique wallet, essentially. I don't know if anybody has more details, but that's kind of my basic understanding of it. It's that they're essentially onboarding people onto this, what they claim to be a way to be identified on the internet anonymously. So you scan your eye. It's kind of like a proof of person, right? So they're using these orbs to prove that you're a person and that you're one individual, and then you're given an ID based on that, supposedly in a zero knowledge proof manner. So then they don't collect, according to them, they're not collecting any image of your eye. They're not keeping it in a database. They're at that point, I guess, issuing this unique ID based on the scan. And then if you went to scan again, I guess it wouldn't create another ID. It would be like, ID has, they have some way of determining, right, that it's already been created, so you can't be reissued. And yeah, sounds terrifying. But
I mean,
I guess
about the fact that it's using your iris, but like it shouldn't be like an issue privacy wise, but they're still it's
I think Eric Wall is kind of giving the positive take on it, saying like, or I don't know if he's trolling here. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not following him detail. I don't know in detail, but I think he's kind of saying like, because all the Bitcoiners are coming out obviously against this. Obviously a lot of Monero people as well, but I think he's maybe pointing out that maybe it works as intended, and it's actually, while it sounds scary as hell, that maybe it's allowing people to create an identity that can then be used on the internet to prove that they're an individual person without giving out. But
it's almost like a psyop for CBDC
without saying who they are, right? I mean, it's pretty cool in concept, this idea of proof of person, right? Because I mean, then you could have voting, right, where people are voting with these IDs that were issued. And then theoretically, you don't know who they are, but you know that they're, it's one person, one vote. It's interesting. I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys are
what you're describing to me. I mean, I know it started like 3 years ago, like in 2019, I think, but it didn't unleash until just a couple of days ago. This past week, that's what the news part was. People are lining up for this orb thing. It's only in a few locations, but people are lining up, it seems.
I think I think they're getting crypto for it too, right? So it's it's gamified, in the same way kind of like that Bitcoin is, right? So I guess it's awarding the early adopter, get in soon, get in fast, right? And you get your, I don't even know what they call their crypto, I guess orb coin, whatever the hell it is, or Worldcoin. So yeah, you get your crypto when you scan your eye, and then I guess that kind of gives you a head start, right? And then you're then motivated to get others to go out and do the same thing, and the value of your crypto, kind of network effect, the hope that the value of yours goes up as everybody goes and runs and gets their Worldcoin. It's kind of scary that it's working so well, right? I mean, I think people are lining up for this.
It sounds free orbs is that, but so is it? It almost sounds like what you're saying is that your iris contains the secret key or the seed phrase, basically, to be regenerated on the fly with an orb each time, so that it can then use Zcash like zero knowledge proofs for transacting information. Usually, first and foremost about your identity, but also maybe with this Worldcoin. Is that what?
Yeah, your iris, your identity becomes the private key, the generation of the private key. Like that is the, you know.
But the scare is that, like, yeah, you're using your iris, right? This has to be like tippy top in terms of security and privacy. And, you know, imagine somebody else comes along and they force you to unlock your coins with your eyes, right?
I don't think that's the case, and I could be wrong because I don't, I'm not super educated on this, but I don't think it's that your iris generates the private key. I think it's just that some kind of hash-like function, they take a hash-like function of the unique scan of your iris. I think it needs to be somewhere within like 10% the same each time it's scanned. I don't know, there's some kind of tolerance there. And then they take a hash of that, and that's the thing that they use to generate the private key. But it's not like you're not necessarily generating the same private key each time. Like your iris isn't the private key. It's just that proves you're a unique person, and then that gives you the opportunity to generate a private key. But I think there's still randomness injected into that key generation moment. I could be wrong about that, but
yeah, and I think you could then, generate infinite sub address, like sub keys based on that too as well. I mean, I don't know. We don't know enough about it. But what are the doomsday scenarios here, or is this a potentially a good thing? Are we just assuming that this is like super evil and it's going to inevitably, be something where we have, this company that has everybody's individual data. They know are they then eventually connecting their real world identity with
it's possible.
their Worldcoin?
I think the doomsday scenario here is that the hardware is actually compromised, because the problem is, like, it seems like the cryptography is pretty solid. Like, I think people are really starting to verify ZK stuff more and more. So the cryptography seems okay. They've got a lot of open source code. All of that seems okay according to, I don't know, the smart guys trademark. But the hardware is not open, and we can't verify that the hardware is in fact doing what the software says. So the doomsday would be that everybody like onboards to this thing, but the whole time the hardware had a backdoor that they were collecting everyone's information. You could hypothetically reveal your real identity as well, even if the hardware was fine. Like, let's pretend that everything was great.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got this one key, you've got this identity. And unless you're doing really good at generating sub addresses and doing smart stuff and all the hoop jumping, like with Bitcoin, having a persistent Bitcoin address eventually reveals your identity, because you're just, eventually you do something that really reveals personal identifying information. Then all those transactions you did related to that address suddenly become known. So that's a problem there. There's other problems as well that
that's the scenario I was thinking. It's kind of like the Bitcoin scenario, right? Like, it's synonymous, but then as soon as your real world identity is associated with a transaction,
John, it's burned.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing that I was just about to say, that even if you trust everything that they say, even if they have the best intentions whatsoever, it all works. For what I've read, it works just like that. You get a hash of the iris. It's not the real thing, and you can generate like sub addresses of sub accounts that are not linked between them. So they are based on the same hash, but you cannot link one account with the other. But they are not unlimited. That's what I've read, to avoid some spamming issues, basically, because they don't have the big fees or whatever. Since you don't have like a economic limit to not spam the network, you won't have like infinite accounts with your iris. So if you don't have infinite accounts, you run into the Bitcoin problem very soon. If you actually use the thing, even if you pay very close attention to, I have like a friend's wallet and then a work wallet, and then my shady stuff wallet or whatever, your identity will be revealed by your usage very soon, and you cannot change your iris afterwards.
There's no going back. It's like,
it's no, oh fuck, yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. I don't know. And then also we have to note, right, the guy behind it, right, Sam Altman, the Chat GPT guy, you know, like one of the main
Oh, yep.
players in the AI
Yeah.
space, and it's all part of this. Like, AI is going to take over, humans are going to be useless. The only thing we're able to contribute to society is our data, which the AI will then use, and then like Worldcoin. I mean, I'm just kind of throwing this out there, but I think it's kind
Yeah,
of
but
like
it's kind of like a
the
diffuse
Worldcoin
thread, no?
will pay us, right?
Yeah,
Like
no,
the
that's what I see it
UPI,
as.
right? The universal basic income, right? So Worldcoin will be how we get paid and how we survive as UI runs everything for us and then essentially pays us for our data and contributing in
I
society.
mean, it seems almost like a CBDT type like psyop, right?
It's
That's
like
what
an
it looks like.
automated CBD where AI is controlling us all and like
It's
paying
an
us.
opt-in CBD, yes.
Yeah. What concerns me is that the internet and technology and human societies tend to have inertia. And if we allow that leverage point in now where it's your iris, there's no going, and that has, if that takes off in any capacity, there's no telling where it can go. And when people with power decide they want to do something differently, then they're probably going to be able to more easily if you start going down that path now.
It's taking off. It's going to
sorry,
take off, man. You're going to have every Joe Schmo. I mean, the Monero community is a unique group, right? We're not getting online to get our iris scan for Worldcoin, but pretty much anybody who's not in the Monero community will be doing just that. Yeah, like the Joe Schmo that you know in your life, the people that you come across, they'll be talking about this. We're saying, hey, you know, did you go and get some of your free Worldcoin? Why not? You know, like it's gonna be like the why not? You might as well just do it. I don't know.
It will get tricky, even if you forget the whole coin thing, the whole crypto thing, without the currency. I think that the goal of solving, I'm very conflicted about the goal of. I've seen some other projects like Proof of Humanity on Ethereum as well, and some others. The goal of identity, solving like decentralized identity in the internet, one vote, one person, one vote, all that. It looks like the best goal possible, but then even conceptually you run into some issues, some dangers. So I'm not really sure. Even if everything works all right, for example, we've seen with COVID and the permissions and to travel some other place. You can see that, well, if you have enough big of a critical mass using Worldcoin, even if it's worth not much, but just for the identity purposes, next time you get something like, well, it's not mandatory, but if you have your work ID associated with your Worldcoin, you just go faster through the airport, for example, or you can go to this and this place. So instead of getting people for the money, you will get it from the convenience, right? I'm always about convenience. Or well, if you don't have your war ID, you have to wait 2 weeks to get this permission to travel, for example. They make it cumbersome and more until you say,
exactly.
Fuck it, I will just do it anyway. And then you are the minority. You are the crazy person that asked not to go through the X-ray scan, and you have to touch your balls. You're the weirdo, right? So, you're the normal, and then you are the weird person with the tinfoil hat. And say, they want your data. But besides that, that I think is a discussion worth having. If we want, because it looks like the best thing ever, let's have decentralized internet online voting with just one person, one vote. It looks like great and utopian. And then you think in the real world and you say, well, how does it look? Because if you don't have decentralized government, for example, you can have all the decentralized identity that you want, but that identity is going to be used for centralized decisions or centralized policies anyway. So
and then you're gonna have this Worldcoin mob mentality, right? Like where this direct democracy via Worldcoin, where it's just like you have this large group of Worldcoin users that are voting and, where the majority wins, which, that's a scary scenario, right? I mean, the founding fathers of this country certainly considered that scenario and tried to avoid it. We don't necessarily want direct democracy where it's one person, one vote rules the day for every issue. Because you quickly create a scenario where minority opinions are completely washed out of society.
There's still the possibility of selling IDs, of purchasing votes, of getting hacked, printing 3D fake irises to get fake people. Like all of those are still risks.
Imagine that the way that Bitcoin keeps being, the only way that Bitcoin keeps being 21 million fixed is because all the people that already have Bitcoin don't want it to be bigger. Because if they lose their purchasing power. So imagine if more than 50% of the population has already Worldcoin, they're going to vote for candidates, or even if it's a liquid democracy or direct democracy, they're going to vote for laws that make it more expensive or illegal or whatever else that is not Worldcoin. Because it's in their best interest to do
yes.
So we are so happy that we invented like online alignment of decisions by greed, and now we are seeing the dark side of the whole thing.
I don't know,
it's
guys.
like super unnecessary, the whole Worldcoin thing. It's just like it seems like it's trying to solve problems that don't exist.
For me, what's crazy is like all these things that we thought about in the 80s and the 90s growing up. I mean, I don't know, I'm a little older than some of us are kind of maybe in the same bracket. Like all these things are coming into fruition now at the same time, right? Like this is something we would theorize, like a Worldcoin, a direct democracy, AI, aliens, and it's all happening at the same time. It's just.
Yeah, should I show this clip? I have open right now. Let me know if you can hear it.
Intelligent extraterrestrials.
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So, and you may or may not be able to answer my last question, and maybe we get into a skiff at the next hearing that we have, but who in the government, either what agency, sub-agency, what contractors, who should be called into the next hearing about UAPs, either in a public setting or even in a private setting? And you probably can't name names, but what agencies or organizations, contractors, et cetera, do we need to call in to get these questions answered, whether it's about funding, what programs are happening, and what's out there?
I can give you a specific cooperative and hostile witness list of specific individuals that were in those.
And how soon can we get that list?
I'm happy to provide that to you after the hearing.
Super. Thank you. And I yield back.
This guy looks like such a douchebag psyop motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't trust
I'm
he
literally
says.
saying, dude, the whole
I watched
alien
the whole
thing, it's just like, I honestly think it's just a psyop for more invasive surveillance and draconian measures.
Open
in
up
the
that
name of...
tweet though, Tux, again.
Oh, yeah,
Actually,
let me.
Her
Yep.
take
So
was
good.
actually pretty great. It's basically what you guys are saying. Tux, can you read it just because it's a little far?
My
Wow,
new
aliens.
favorite phrase is "I cannot discuss this in a public setting." It's my new
honestly.
catchphrase.
Wow, aliens, won't it be fun to watch people believe whatever some former intelligence agents say with no evidence, and then panic and demand that all of humanity bands together to make a global government, just like in Star Trek and Mass Effect, because of the aliens. I agree.
Seems like the most likely scenario right now. I don't know.
No, yeah, I think
You
it's a psyop just for like to do a bunch of crazy stuff in the name of air quote national security. Like that just literally seems like it, right? It's the next thing that they're doing.
No,
Yeah.
you know what I really think? I think they are kind of scared that they are not progressing fast enough, and now they need to use some technology that has to look like we invented it, but it makes no sense because we actually got it from aliens. So now they have to say, well, maybe it's time to disclose that, yeah, we actually got them from aliens, because we're about to invent fusion or something like that, and we cannot explain how we did it. So let's just say it was aliens.
Alien technology. Yeah, then she goes on to say, if you think the imminent massive increase in the Space Force budget will be used to deal... Oh, wait, stop going for a second. Will be used to deal with these alleged UFOs and not to build a satellite surveillance grid to power the digital ID CBDC technology to technocracy to control everybody, you might be really gullible. Sorry, I can barely see the words here. But that's a pretty good take, pretty good part, right? Like it's
See, a
just
lot of
being
people believe
used
in aliens, believe whatever you
to,
want. My
you
point is
know,
this is happening in Congress right now for a specific purpose, and critical thinking is important. It's a controlled release of info with an ulterior motive.
yeah, just to rally everybody up, raise the budgets of these departments that are dealing with the aliens, right? Exposing these departments, but then also vastly improving their budgets overnight, right? They would probably be the most funded departments overnight if this were, alleged to be true, and they started showing
yeah.
evidence. I mean, we
Par for
need
the course.
to dump money in there to deal with the aliens, whether it's
Aliens are officially no longer cool because the government says they exist.
right. They're security risk, a national security risk. Everybody dump all your money into these
Yeah.
departments if you want to survive. Who's going to
Yeah,
say
well,
no to that?
look at the creator of the Space Force. You might love him or hate him, but if there was one person that was president that was going to call up and ask somebody like, "Where's the aliens at? Where are the aliens?" That would be Donald Trump. And during his time, I mean, I don't imagine him not keeping his mouth shut about that entirely. If there was something to say, you'd find some way to say something.
Right? Yeah,
I thought
he's
it
the
was
one
Major
guy who
Jason
would
L
not be
that
able to keep
created.
his mouth shut. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, buddy.
I was just gonna make a lame joke. I said I thought it was Major Jason L that created the Space Force. I don't want to say his full name on the stream. Give that guy more attention. No.
Didn't his like thesis got like booted from MIT or something? Like
Yeah, they took him down.
Why? Why? What happened with that? Like I haven't been following that closely.
I don't know. Maybe it was a political thing. Maybe it's because he's part of the military, and they were like, "No, this is getting too political. You're not supposed to be like publicly political. You're not supposed to like tie it to your military identity is not supposed to be tied to your political identity." That was kind of one thing they taught us. Like, don't be protesting in uniform. You can protest, but don't protest in uniform. Don't use your position as a military member to promote your active duty military member to promote whatever political ideology you're going after.
Right. And you might have been crossing that line. Okay.
Hey, sorry to interrupt one more time. I posted a link in the YouTube comments. Vitalik, I know that a lot of people don't like him, but he wrote a fairly instructive, informative thing on the whole Worldcoin and the orb and the hardware. That was like one of the best breakdowns I've seen so far. So if anyone's interested, it's worth a read. Like, you might read it with a grain of salt because it's Vitalik, but there's good information in there. So
does he give it a fair assessment? Is he coming down hard on it, or does he see like it could potentially work as intended?
He kind of brings up a lot of peripheral points. Like he talks about the problem from a more general perspective. Like, okay, what are the pros and cons? What's the possibility of doing some kind of global personhood or digital ID, digital personhood kind of stuff? And he talks about the pitfalls. He talks about the things that could be good by doing it. I felt like he gave it a pretty impartial, like he didn't write in a tone that was promoting one way or another. I think if I had to say, he would probably be slanted towards, if we could figure out how to do it, that would be great. The technical challenges are significant, and there's no guarantee that they'll be resolved anytime soon. So yeah, he's probably like, yeah, we should do it. I would assume, I'm inferring, and probably he thinks we should do it if we can, but he's maybe a technocrat. I don't know, but he wants to be careful to get the technology right. So that's the way I took it.
Got a couple more things real quick we can look at. So we've got new discovery of an ambient temperature or pressure superconductor. There's this massive thread here. That's in the description if you want to read all that. But it looks pretty interesting. If all this is true. And then the this CA Libertad, they were taking on Drunk Dial-Me's XMR Priest Challenge, showing services that accept Monero, and so they're showing one right here, a hardware store.
That's in Argentina. Yeah, CA Libertad. He's the guy that came on, and Andreas.
Yep, that was like a month ago or so. Yep.
Yeah, he's the one running the show down there in Argentina, spreading the word.
Synthetic paints, rollers, and brushes. So the hardware store, they bought all that stuff with Monero. Super awesome. Super cool.
Nice. Yeah,
and another one, a supermarket sold us products for some pizzas. They use my Monero. Oh, okay, cool.
Are they adopting Worldcoin in his village as well?
Doubtful. Another store, somebody using Monero.
Wow. And so, yeah, my understanding,
going crazy.
Haircut. Yeah, and I think all these people that he's approaching and getting to accept Monero are people that are in his like WhatsApp group of like soccer gamblers.
Look, it's Andreas in the background.
Ah. Holy shit.
I think it's his video on Monero.
Video explaining Monero.
Yeah. His one in Spanish.
Oh my god, this kid is
background showing you the video in Spanish. Andreas, that's funny. That's crazy. They've got it going like hard there.
Yeah, that's pretty
awesome.
Good. That's pretty
Super
good.
Cool.
I've said it a couple times, like we're considering, maybe doing Monerotopia there. And if we do, we'd want to go down there pretty soon to check it out. So I'd probably look to visit this town, see what's going on, meet this kid. It's pretty cool. I love it.